I thought you said this boiler didn't creak.
Well, it didn't last time.
This is boiler number 1, and it hasn't made steam since the 1970s. With the support of a major grant from the Association for Industrial Archaeology, we've spent the last 8 months working on it to get it ready. And in 2 weeks, the boiler inspector will be here. If it leaks, it will fail the test. We're on more than one deadline. To run the pumping station properly, we need 2 working boilers. And next year, boiler number 5 goes out of ticket. So it won't be able to make steam until it's been inspected again. So today matters. And to see how we've managed to turn boiler 1 into a water feature, we need to rewind back to the start of 2025. At the beginning of the year, we could see the problem coming. We had roughly 16 months before boiler 5 would have to be taken out of service for its major inspection. If we wanted to keep steaming normally through that, we needed another boiler ready in time. So we started with boiler 2, but we quickly found several holes in its fire tubes. It can be repaired, but it was too big a job for us to take on comfortably with the deadline we had. We already knew that boiler 3 was worse, so true to form, Claymills left us only one option. Boiler 1 hasn't made steam since the 1970s, so it now has to prove it can be trusted again. And before that test could happen, there was months of unglamorous work to get to this point. We spent hours stripping brickwork around it, and then cleaning inside and out with needle guns, taking off years of rust and scale, hoping we wouldn't find any nasty surprises hiding underneath. And Toby has been an absolute hero. He's spent weeks crawling through the tight passages beneath this boiler and replaced about half of the seating blocks that it sits on. That's not glamorous work, it's just graft. And it really matters because this is not a small machine. A Lancashire boiler is a serious piece of kit. This one holds around 5,500 gallons of water. When it's empty, it's about 13 tonnes of boiler. Full, it's nearly 25. And it gets nearly an inch longer when it's at full working temperature and pressure. So it's a moving, pressurised mass you treat with respect. It's essential that everything that we do is spot on. So with the inspector coming, today is the day we stop talking about it and start proving it. There are very few people still alive today that have actually seen inside a Lancashire boiler. So let's climb inside and talk to Jacob, where he's fitting the new safety plugs. These are filled with lead, which melts if you allow the water level to drop too low.
And basically, when it was new, that brass bit screwed straight into a hole drilled in the tube.
Yeah.
But the problem is all the scale always collects around them, and they always groove around the edge.
Right.
So what we've done, we've welded a round piece of steel in.
Yeah.
So we've now got, rather than say ½ inches worth of thread, we've got 1 inch thick pieces worth. So there's significantly more threads on the bottom. Right. So that screws into there like that. But yeah, so that's the fusible plug up in the middle. And all that is, it's a carrier.
Yeah.
So the reason they were fitted is that's your way of adjusting the height of the plug there.
Right. So that adjusts the water level at which it goes, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, and when he gets back, we can put some stuff on there and pull those up. Yeah, if you look, they are about level with that hole there where it would drop out the glass.
Yeah.
So it'd drop out the glass and then boom, that'd be that. And you see it's at the height where it would just protect the top of the tube. Well, that's the theory anyway. Not that we want to test it.
So these tubes, they're a solid piece, and how do they put the flanges on them? Do they just, are they pressed?
Yeah, so they're the flanged ended tubes. And this piece here, that is the corking strip.
Yeah.
So the ends are slightly tapered, and that corking strip is what seals the tube. Right. And then they would batter around that to expand it to seal the 2 flanged edges together. And that's on the doubling plates there. So they're actually doubled up on both sides.
Yeah.
So where you've got a seam, you've actually got 3 times the thickness.
Yeah.
And I mean, it shows you the condition of these boilers. The fact you can still see the original corking marks along the edge.
Yeah.
I mean, they are, apart from a bit of scale, they are
in rude health, really.
Yeah, they're pretty much like new, really.
Yeah. Which is amazing, given that they've been in since 1936. Sorry, sir.
Yeah. You see the theory of that is that is like a nozzle.
Yeah.
If the lead on that side was to melt, that's actually a brand new one as well.
Right.
So that's a brand new 100-year-old one. And this one,
So it's new old stock then?
yeah,
that?
we'll call it new old stock.
Yeah.
But yeah, what they're known as a navy type fusible plug.
Can you give me an overall cap of like what you're doing? Like,
So basically, these two bronze fittings originally screw straight into here.
okay.
So originally they'd just cut a hole in there, tapped it, screwed it in. On the years and years of it not being used, it corroded around the hole. Because anywhere a boiler moves, they tend to rot. So if you imagine the grain structure of steel, when you're pulling it, you're opening up sort of smaller, I wouldn't call them impurities, but like imperfections in the surface. So they always rust where they move. And these have rusted quite badly around where they screwed in.
Okay.
So we took the old ones out, cut a bigger hole in the shell, and welded a piece in, which you can see the runs of weld there, and made some new fittings, only because the originals were knackered. And then yeah, we're just putting it all back together. So hopefully later on we're going to fill it up with water and hydraulic test it and see where the water falls out.
Right.
Hopefully it doesn't. Yeah. See where it falls out.
Have some confidence.
See where it doesn't fall out.
Gosling.
With the fusible plugs now refitted, it's time to crawl back out of the boiler and make it watertight everywhere else. All of the original fittings have been refurbished and restored, so the next job on the list is the blowdown valve that allows you to empty it. So what we're looking at here then, Jacob?
So this is the blowdown valve,
Yeah.
and this is the parallel sliding gate there, which is sprung loaded,
Yeah.
with a rack on the other end, which slides inside two seats. If you look down it there,
Yeah.
you can see that moving through its range. I said to you, you can only open it so far because
Yeah.
it's limited by the rack, because that housing sits on here,
Yeah.
and you can't take the handle out till it's closed. So
Right.
they are fairly idiot.
Good grief.
Yeah, so they're the pressed-in seats inside there.
Yeah.
And this, you can press the spring and poke it in, and there we go. Simple as that.
And the design of this, I'm guessing you'd never get scales caught in the seat. No. Because would it just blow it through then until the point where it slams shut and seals it?
Yeah,
Right.
pretty much. Yeah.
So, and it's not hard on the faces because they're spring loaded either. I'm
Exactly.
guessing. Yeah.
It's a very clever design.
It's
really.
clever, yeah.
It's a good bit of kit. And yeah, we'll drop that in and then take a bit more when we've got it a bit more together. Very clever design.
Yeah.
Almost, dare you say it, idiot proof.
You've said it now.
Yeah. We have had them leak,
Yeah.
but that's normally because there's normally a good reason, like the springs collapsed, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they never leak when they're under pressure, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
They tend to leak when they're atmospheric.
Right, that's the what it does part finished. Now we've just got to put it back together and reinstall it. So we're going to switch to time-lapse for the rest of the reassembly. If you want to see the full, real-time rebuild with everything Jacob explains, it's available as a deep dive. You can find this in the playlist, Claymills Nuts and Bolts, link in the description. Now the blowdown valve's on, the next job is the bottom manhole cover. Like every other bit of these boilers, this is heavy, so Toby had to climb inside and help seat it. We unfortunately missed all the heaving and grunting because the camera battery died.
Toby! We're doing it again!
Sorry.
Once we've got a bit more rehearsed with it, we could mark them up with a bit of paint.
Oh, he has realised that he can let go on the other end.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Right, one thing we need as well
So when it leaks, it's your fault.
is the 3/4 ratchet out
With the manhole cover refitted and everybody safely out of the boiler, it's finally time to start filling it with water. For a safe hydraulic test, the boiler must be filled to the brim. It was then time to refit the manhole cover, and it really is as heavy as it looks. So in keeping with the Claymills way of doing things, practical and resourceful, only the finest tools were used to help us line up the bolt holes.
Tell you what we could guide on with. What? 2 crowbars. 2 crowbars.
Yeah. We've got 2 crowbars that'll...
There's 2 broom handles if they're any good.
That'll do.
That'll do.
2 broom handles to line it up. You 2 lift straight. It'll keep you 2 straight.
As a drift. As a drift. Yeah, is that as a drift?
You're a good lad, you are. I take back every bad word I've ever said about you.
There's a gasket.
I can't find the bloody hole. There, it's there. It's there.
Before we go
Second.
hero lifting, just... Yeah, gasket's roughly in the right.
We've always been very accurate and precise here, haven't we?
That's, yeah, leave that
I
in
don't think
there.
this is a picture for AIA.
No, maybe don't send this, because we could do with being ever so slightly round a bit.
Like that.
There's a bolt there.
It's got to get. Yeah, it's got to come. Just slightly
So
twisted.
all we're going to do, straight
Lift.
You need to be ready. That brick's got to come out as soon as they lift.
Yeah, ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1,
Count.
go.
Down.
Drop.
Down.
Down, round a bit, spin it. We're in.
We're in.
To you, to me.
Did you see that then? Beautiful, wasn't it? The old broom handle. Good idea, that man. You and your broom handle.
Bolts in from...
Thank you.
We need some.
There's the dog.
Okay, now it's time for a bit more YouTube magic. It usually takes about 10 minutes to bolt one of these covers down. But here, we're going to do it in about 15 seconds. And after this, we'll find out if this boiler can still take the pressure.
Nearly 20.
All seems to be going to plan. The pressure was slowly rising, but then we started to hear another sound as well.
No water.
Oh, it's the reset valve on there.
We've got a bit of a problem with this.
Is that leaking?
The already nerve-wracking test was a false start. In the 32 years that the Trust has been here, we've never tried to pressurise boiler 1. A valve on this old and now defunct pipework can't take the pressure and is allowing water to backfeed into the well beneath our feet.
So if in doubt, it's an hammer.
I wouldn't do this, but the pipework is scrapped.
It's a technical adjustment.
Technically, yes. Maybe don't film this bit. Cinching a valve down with a pair of grips. We do seem to have a slight drip on that.
Doesn't sound too good.
Oh, hang on, mate, we've got a bigger wrench.
Don't fall Paul's best
So if you look there, we're at 40 PSI already, so we're... I would tell you what that converts to, but I'm going to be really honest and say I don't know. Yeah. I hear it rattling down there.
How long will you leave it to hold for?
Half an hour is the official.
That valve's not. But there is a little bit of water in that valve.
Yeah, I know, but it's not got the right spring in it.
You've also got the valve dripping from the...
And it's passing as well. In fact, it's not. The pressure's not risen from when it was passing before. The valve still hasn't sealed, and the pipework that's leaking is not original. Part of our restoration process is to remove modern additions that shouldn't be here, so it needs to go.
Right, let's have a tug of war. You pull that way up, please. Go on, give it to it. Oh my god, the whole lot's turning.
Yeah, of course it is.
Why wouldn't it?
Why wouldn't it?
It's Claymills, remember where you are.
Get 2 hammers and whack either side of that.
I can't believe this. This was meant to be a simple, easy job, wasn't it? We just put a bit of hydraulic pressure on there. Oh yeah, maybe we do need to do your idea and move the old
Move the old oxygen bottle.
I'll need a shot of that in a minute by the time we finish this.
Hey, it's gone.
Get wet!
Yeah.
Well, you didn't see that coming.
Yes, all over
I have drained it. It's not quite in the way I was originally planning. There's some professionals here, isn't there? Once I put the pump on and we'll have another round of enjoyment.
Probably leakage.
Yeah, don't turn the pump on.
After a few moments of the pressure stubbornly refusing to rise, we realised we'd forgotten to reopen the valve we closed to isolate the old pipework.
So that's 2 valves we've forgotten about today. The one in the bottom of number 3 and that one.
Oh, I can hear something creaking.
So could I.
I thought you said this boiler didn't creak.
Well, it didn't last time.
The pressure is now rapidly approaching 80 pounds per square inch. This is the normal operating pressure of these boilers. Okay, well we've passed steam pressure. Oh.
We've got a leak on the manhole.
Okay, well that's...
Knock it off. A severe leak.
Okay.
Has it blown the gasket out? Yeah. Well, it's shooting out at manner of rates through one of the bolt holes. Try not to have a shower.
And this is where we began. Fortunately, this is a minor problem that can be fixed with a new gasket and some extra bolts.
I was a seamstress in a past.
What, we got a paint pan?
I am a seamstress.
Oh, it's all yours.
Yeah?
If we just make it marginally thicker than that, if we just go a tiny, tiny bit thicker.
With a new gasket now made, it was back to the boiler house. Do you know, I've got an aerial picture of this place when there was no derelict porter cabin and it was all tidy and neat. What happened?
We had 2 lorry loads of wood coming and a mouldy cabin.
What do we use the cabin for?
We don't.
We don't.
Okay.
I'll tell you the story
No, we
later.
do. It's full of his Land Rover bits.
Yeah, there's half a Land Rover in there. I'll tell you the full story later. It'll make you giggle.
Okay.
Put it this way, for a long time we didn't think we were ever going to get the money to build a proper visitor centre, and those two joined together were going to be
The visitor centre. So we were going to put the visitors in a derelict porter cabin then, yeah?
Yeah, well, it was going to be a derelict porter cabin that had a coat of paint.
That's what you say.
Yeah, then the porter cabins arrived, we were like, oh.
When you buy something off the internet and it turns up that big, it was kind of that
There's the good 3/4 rack.
It's like when you buy a mini digger off eBay and it turns up as a dinky to it. It's kind of that level of disappointment.
There we go, we've got that rack to go now.
You can't do that, she's tightened up about 100 volts with that crappy ratchet. I think I'm going to do tools.
Got a proper one now.
No, you get the proper one, Toby.
I was going to say, third time round, get ratchet that works.
And after a whole lot of wrench turning later, it was time to find out if this 90-year-old boiler could take the pressure. Take 3. Is she still tightening the bolt?
Yeah. We'll stop at 40, Toby. If you've not gone round by then.
That's 20. 25. 30. 35. That's 40. In service, our boilers run at £80 per square inch. In order to pass on the day of the safety inspection, it must hold 1.5 times its working pressure for 30 minutes, so our target today is £120 per square inch with no leaks.
Are you ready to turn this off?
It's not shut the gasket down yet.
Not yet, I'll shut it. Take it just past. That'll do, Amelia.
What we at?
125. For the first time in over 3 decades, boiler number 1 was now holding over £120 per square inch of pressure. To give this perspective, in service, these boilers use a dead weight safety valve. This massive stack of weights weighs 160 pounds and sits on a valve that has a surface area of only 2 square inches. So when at operating pressure, every 2 square inches of the entire surface of these boilers is restraining the same amount of weight as this, pushing against the inside of the boiler, trying to force its way out. Boiler 1 is now holding 1.5 times this pressure. After half an hour and an extremely thorough inspection, the only slight leak found was a dribble on the bottom of the manhole cover. This is an easy fix with graphite sealant. Over the last 9 months we've replaced 10 rivets in the bottom of this boiler, welded all of the areas that needed repair, removed all of the scale inside with needle guns and stripped all the surrounding brickwork and masonry so it can be inspected. The hours of back-breaking work and countless late nights have finally paid off. The whole body of the boiler has passed its first pressure test in over 35 years. If you've enjoyed today's video, please consider subscribing. Claymills is looked after by a charitable trust, and everything you've seen today is done by unpaid volunteers. People giving up evenings, weekends and a lot of elbow grease to keep this place alive. Next time, the inspector arrives. Join us to find out whether Boiler 1 passes its inspection and follow our effort to bring it back into service properly and for the long term.